They always say, well, what do you do all day? And I say, answer the doorbell. The doorbell dictates kind of what we do or what's going on.
This is Sister Sue Ann Hall. She's a Franciscan sister of Christian Charity, and she's one of two religious sisters who live at Our Lady of Guadalupe convent near the Forest Park neighborhood of St. Louis. The convent's location is somewhat unique because it sits right across the street from a Planned Parenthood. That Planned Parenthood happens to be the last abortion clinic in the state that does surgical abortions. And since the convent opened back in 2017, the number of abortions at the Planned Parenthood has dramatically decreased. This week on the podcast, we'll learn more about the convent's unique dual ministry of prayer and hospitality, and the impact that the ministry has had on the pro-life movement in St. Louis. You're listening to CNA Newsroom, the podcast that brings you the people behind the headlines. I'm your host, Jonah McKeown. The idea for Our Lady of Guadalupe convent originated in 2015. A few Catholic couples in the Archdiocese were interested in building a chapel near the Planned Parenthood for pro-life advocates to gather for prayer and fellowship. They brought their idea to St. Louis's then Archbishop Robert Carlson. The Archdiocese then purchased a 3-story house directly across the street from the abortion clinic. The house was dedicated in 2017 as a convent under the patronage of Our Lady of Guadalupe, whom St. John Paul II had declared as the protectress of the unborn. Today, the convent is operated by the Respect Life Apostolate within the Archdiocese, but the daily task of greeting pro-life advocates is the responsibility of the two Franciscan sisters of Christian Charity who live there, Sister Sue Ann, who you heard from earlier, and Sister Dolores Vogt.
I'll give you kind of a little, maybe a picture of what the convent looks like. A 3-story home is what this convent is. It was a 3-story home, and it's the corner house.
Amy Costa is the convent's program coordinator.
When you walk in, there's a lovely chapel that seats 25 people, and we offer Mass and adoration there. Then there's a hospitality kitchen on the main floor, and there's an area with pamphlets and handouts and different pro-life materials that people can pick up, along with a public restroom on that floor. Now, the second floor houses the sisters' personal living space. There's also a large dining room that we host luncheons and events in that, and then the kitchen and bathroom. And then there's a third floor with a meeting room, and that's also some living space for the sisters, an extra bedroom and a restroom up there. And then there's a large prayer patio that was renovated about 2 years ago, and that's used for gatherings and meetings and other pro-life activities.
Amy is fairly new to her role at the convent, but she was aware of the convent and its ministry well before she took the job. She has 2 children who have volunteered as sidewalk counselors outside Planned Parenthood.
Our last abortion facility is not in the best area of St. Louis. It's kind of on the fringe of a residential area, but it's very kind of warehouses and offices. And so it's not a place that a lot of people want to go, especially by themselves. And so when the convent was established, I was thrilled because I had a young daughter in her early 20s standing outside of Planned Parenthood counseling with nowhere to go as a safe place, or they had to walk a couple of blocks to use a restroom, or if they felt unsafe, they were just kind of very exposed out there.
Here's Sister Dolores.
In the past, before this convent was available to people, they used to walk to a restaurant if they needed, restroom or whatever. And the young people will say, we always felt we should buy something, and this is closer, probably safer because they're just walking across the street and we're right on Forest Park, same as Planned Parenthood.
The convent serves as a safe space for pro-life advocates. Sidewalk counselors can come to the convent to warm themselves when there's cold weather, and those who are too intimidated to pray from the sidewalk outside of Planned Parenthood can find a quiet space in the convent's chapel. Here again is Sister Sue Ann.
If there's somebody that is afraid, to come and pray in front of Planned Parenthood, they can always come to our chapel. The chapel is always there. The prayer reaches there as well as out on the sidewalk.
So, yeah, hospitality and prayer are the main charisms and the purpose of the convent, but we also bring spiritual opportunities for Catholics and pro-lifers throughout the Archdiocese, so people can come and have Mass and fellowship, or their pro-life meetings, or we've also held rallies at the property at the convent.
The convent hosts adoration, Mass, and lunches several times a month. Last month, the convent hosted a prayer rally and adoration as the Supreme Court heard oral arguments in Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health, a case out of Mississippi that has the potential to overturn legalized abortion nationwide.
We had people on the sidewalk, people praying in front of the Blessed Sacrament, and then we also had people in fellowship. So it was kind of just a revolving door that day, at least in front of our facility. It's a safe place, it's a comfortable place, and it's just so welcoming, and the sisters are just a joy to work with.
We have the happy faculty of being known for our chocolate chip cookies. And there are lots of people that will come in, and we say, well, would you like something to drink, or coffee or cocoa or tea or whatever? And then we have some snacks on the table, and then they'll, try the cookies, and they'll eat the cookies, and then we'll meet the couples again, maybe in another situation, and they'll say, I remember those chocolate chip cookies. So it's in a sense, it's an icebreaker, to get to know people, and it encourages them, to maybe want to come back again, if nothing else, for a chocolate chip cookie and a Hail Mary.
Amy has yet to interact with any employees of the Planned Parenthood across the street, but she said she's certain they're aware of their work at the convent.
Abortions have significantly decreased in that facility and in Missouri overall since the opening of the convent. I mean, how can that evil happen with Jesus right across the street? There are icons in the windows. The sisters have a bird's eye view of what's going on the parking lot. They can contact us and say, hey, the abortionist is here today, or, there doesn't seem to be a lot of activity going on right now, but this day is when I see activity. So we can try to bring more people to pray on those specific days.
Some days, Sister Sue and Sister Dolores join pro-life advocates in praying from the sidewalk outside the Planned Parenthood. The sisters say that passing cars will often honk in support, but they still get negative comments from time to time. Here's Sister Sue Ann.
In one sense, there's a sense of, are we safe? Is it safe to be here? Will something happen? So far, we've been very blessed. There hasn't been any major challenges to us of people, other than, like Sister said, if you're out there and you get words. But I still feel this sense of God enveloping us, and knowing we're here for good and for His honor and glory. I feel that we have a protection that some people don't have. But I just feel if God wants this work to be accomplished, that He will see it accomplished. And why fear when He tells you not to be afraid?
Our Lady of Guadalupe convent and its mission is catching attention in other places. Amy said a couple from a neighboring archdiocese visited the convent recently and said they hope to launch something similar in their own archdiocese.
I feel like this would be such a great thing if it could spread across the country. It's just such a great ministry that we have.
For Amy, prayer and hospitality play a crucial role in the pro-life cause.
We are not going to end abortion on our own. Only God can do that. We just continue to pray, and if Catholics and faithful, or pro-lifers around the world would just pray to change the hearts of people, because prayer is what changes hearts. if we can provide hospitality to anyone that's down there praying, it doesn't matter if you're another denomination, if you're down there and you want to be peaceful and you want to just come and have a conversation, the sisters will sit down with anyone. And I just feel like that is going to change the hearts of people.
CNA Newsroom is a production of Catholic News Agency, a service of EWTN News. I'm your host, Jonah McKeown. I produce and edit this show with the help of our executive producer, Kate Oliveira. A very special thanks to the Archdiocese of St. Louis, Amy Costa, Sister Sue, and Sister Dolores for taking the time to talk to us. Please continue to pray for a greater respect for life in our country and throughout the world. See you next time.